Welcome to the Top Dog Mindset Podcast, where we unlock the secrets of running a successful dog training business. I'm your host, Kevin, joined by my co-host, Angel. Together, we bring you expert insights, inspiring stories, and practical tips. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we're here to provide you with the necessary information to build a thriving dog training company. So relax, join us with a cup of coffee as we explore the Top Dog Mindset Podcast. All right, welcome in, everybody. Kevin and Angel here from the Top Dog Mindset Podcast. And today we have a kind of cool episode here. As I'm sure you can tell, we're actually face-to-face in person here. So this is the first time we've done this. This took quite some time to get set up. So if there's any technical difficulties, we apologize ahead of time. But we're just going to talk about a couple of cool things today. We're going to talk about mindset and a little bit about us. And obviously we're going to talk about business. But Angel, without further ado, why don't you kind of tell everybody about your trip up here and how everything went?
It was a really long trip, very long. I was stuck in the airport for like 12 hours, but made it here last night, I think.
Well, that's not even the whole story. Tell everybody about how you didn't even have your ID too.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the night before I had to get on the flight, I realized that I didn't have my ID, and I didn't even think about it because I don't really go many places where I'm asked for my ID.
Right. Wait, why don't you have your ID again? What happened to it?
I don't know. It's lost. It's somewhere.
No, I was saying, wasn't there a reason that it was out of your wallet?
Yeah. Okay, well, that's another story.
Yeah.
I locked myself out of the house, and that was not the first time I've done that. Anytime I lock myself out of the house, I'm always able to, no one listened to this. I'm always able to get back in just with a card.
Yeah, no one knows your address, so it's okay.
So I'm going to start using my deadbolt since everyone knows that now. But yeah, so that's why I took it out. And after that, I have no idea what I did with it. But again, I don't really get asked for it anywhere that I go. So I never had a reason to like really have it in my hand or notice that it was gone.
Yeah.
So the night before, I was getting everything ready and realized that it was missing. And so I started panicking, and I even called my mom. I'm like, I have a problem. This was right before I called you. I'm like, I have a problem. So I told her, and she's like, ooh, so what do you want me to do? I'm like, I don't know.
What can you do?
Something. You're my mom. You're supposed to be able to do something. So very long story short, I got to the airport like 3 hours early to give myself enough time to do whatever they needed to do. It was pretty quick though. I had to like fill out paperwork
Yeah, nothing too intrusive, right?
No. I thought for sure they were going to take me into like a separate room and do weird searches and all this stuff. They did ask me like a bunch of random questions, but I guess that was just to confirm I am who I am. That was pretty quick. And they did initially tell me like, this could take like 20 minutes or it could take a couple hours. It's just dependent on like how long it takes.
Did they pat you down or no?
They didn't.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
But you went through a metal detector still.
Yeah, I did. Okay. So I filled out some paperwork. They confirmed like I am who I am. And then I went through like the normal thing of like standing in that machine where like your hands are up like this.
Oh, yeah.
Went through all of that. And then they had to like open my luggage to like see
make sure
everything.
There's nothing in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did that and it went pretty quickly. And then after that, my flight was delayed like
3 times?
No, probably like 5 times. I just stopped.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just stopped updating you because every time I would tell you, then it would get delayed again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just going to wait until I'm actually on the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even when you texted me, you were like, I'm boarding. I'm like, this thing may not take off for like another hour or so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was like another 30 minutes that they told us we had to wait on the plane.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Newark, New Jersey. I mean, you were telling me about like, so Leanne had told you that like about different people effectively dying flying into Newark, right?
Yeah. Yeah. She's like, are you flying into, or she's like, you're not flying into Newark, right? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, why? She's like, well, just be careful. Like, just make sure you be careful. I'm like, why? She's like, well, I can't tell you now. Or like, I don't want to tell you and like worry you. I'm like, well, you have to now. But yeah, she told me about like the staffing shortages and stuff like that. Like, I don't really watch the news or really. I mean, there was that one time we were in the middle of a meeting and a tornado. Remember a tornado happened? And I didn't even know because I don't watch anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, prime example. But she ended up telling me about all the issues going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you just telling me during one meeting, like, I think there's a tornado outside my
Yeah, there
house.
was like a tree that I saw fly by the window. And yeah, I'm like, I gotta go. And then we went into the bathroom.
Yeah, this is kind of odd, but Jamie and I always laugh about this. For some reason, every time I travel, I always get randomly selected. Like, I'm that guy that's always getting pulled aside. Like, there's something about me that just gives off like a serious terrorist kind of energy, I guess.
The red hair.
I mean, that's got to be it, you know? It
This is
has to do.
unusually red.
I mean, there's just like, there's something going on there, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, without further ado, why don't we kind of jump into it and talk about what you have planned for today?
Yeah. So, being that we're in person, in the flesh, we're going to do kind of like a more personal vibe to this episode. So, still trying to stay on topic, but helping our listeners get to know us on more of a personal level. This first segment is more of like a business owner kind of vibe.
Okay.
So, I think these are going to be more for you.
I'll handle these, yeah, for sure.
All right. So, you ready?
Yep.
First question, what were the early warning signs that you were pushing too hard in your business?
Or the early warning signs. Well, I think that, okay, so I'll start with this. I think that people use the term workaholic, and it's kind of like a funny term to throw around. You know, it's like, I'm a workaholic or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And it can be a real thing. So what I mean by that is like, you can really use work just like you can use drugs, alcohol, gambling, any sort of addiction. Like, work can become that too, right? Where you can kind of start just like using it for avoidance. And the really insidious thing about it is that you can really rationalize to yourself that you're doing the right thing because you're like, I'm working, I'm being productive, I'm, you know, earning money for my family and stuff like that. Or I need to work because I need to make sure that my employees are taken care of. And it can just be the type of thing where you can use it to avoid other responsibilities in your life. You know, being a present husband or father or son or daughter, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that I need to be vigilant of is I love what I do. I love building business. I love working. And if I don't check myself, I can just, without trying to sound like a hardo, like I can just go, I can just keep working because I really enjoy what I do. So that was like an early warning sign for me is that like life is about balance and you need to prioritize everything in your life that's important just as much as work. Like work is very important, but it needs to be in balance with other things. So there's seasons to work really hard and you know, put extra hours into your business. But if it's at the detriment of your family or your wife or something like that, that's, I think, where that was an early warning sign for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I feel like that's something that I've noticed too when talking to people like that is like they almost like say it in a very prideful way of like no days off, like I'm constantly going kind of thing. And it's like, that's awesome. Like you're getting the shit done, but also like, look at all the relationships.
Yeah. Does your wife not even recognize you anymore type of thing?
Yeah. And it's like when other people start noticing that, then that's even worse because you can't really like flaunt the fact that you're working that much.
Yeah. Also like your physical health. Like that's another thing that I've noticed for me too. You know, this is something we've been talking about like this weekend where I've lost some weight recently. And there's just been instances where I look at myself and I'm like, whoa, like you look different. You know, and it's very easy in this line of work where you just I sit at a computer and, you know, my brother Jack, who, you know, pointed this out to me lovingly one time, he was like, you're becoming no different than that like guy from South Park, like the World of Warcraft character they created where the guy like never leaves his mom's basement and like he's just eating Cheetos. It's so much more grotesque than that, but I'll spare everybody like the details. But he's like, you just have found a way to like, you know, monetize it in a way, which he was kidding with me, but at the end of the day, it's really not that far off. Like when I wake up in the morning, I can walk 20 steps to the bathroom to brush my teeth and get in the shower. And then I walk 10 steps to go get a cup of coffee. And then I walk 30 steps upstairs to sit down at the computer and start working.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to get 10,000 steps a day. And no joke, like if I were to track it, like there's probably days in the past where I've taken, I don't know, a couple hundred, which is insane to think about.
It is insane. It requires so much self-discipline. I mean, like being a business owner, I'm sure does just because like you're working for yourself. You don't have someone telling you like, hey, go do this or go do that. Like you have to be the one to tell yourself that. Also, just having like a remote work from home job in general, that's something that I've noticed too. Cause like whenever I wear my Apple Watch and I'm like keeping track of my steps,
Yeah.
there were times where I've noticed I've only had a couple hundred steps. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's gross.
It's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel so terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to be like really mindful
Yeah.
about like even if you're on a phone call, like get
Mhm.
up and take a walk around. Don't forget to eat.
Yeah, totally.
Make time to go to the gym.
Exactly. Yeah, because we have like when I sign up and if I'm doing a sales call or something like that, I'm going to be at my desk and it's really important to be sitting there. But every client that I have a relationship with already, if it doesn't require screen sharing or something like that, I'll usually, especially now that it's nice out, I'll just go for a walk outside and just like, hey, if it's noisy, let me know. And that's a really good thing to do. I mean, dog trainers, I don't think suffer with this as much because it requires being active.
Yeah.
You know, up and about and stuff like that. But I'm sure so there's somebody listening to this who may be the CEO of a dog training company and he's no longer holding the leash anymore and stuff like that. But going back to the original point here, there's things that come along with running a business, and burnout can happen and manifest in different ways. And using the physical fitness and your health as like the example, there's no amount of money that is going to be worth the toll on your health if you don't take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Like you could be sitting there at the end of your life and you know, you die young or you have a heart attack or something like that. Like in that moment, you really need to think about like, would I care about having an extra couple $1,000 in my bank account? Absolutely not, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's super important too to have like a support system.
Yeah.
As far as like other people who are maybe in the same line of work or same, for example, us, we both work from home. We're doing the same thing, but we talk about this stuff all the time. You know, like both got like a new treadmill so we can walk in between.
Yeah.
I ended up getting like a standing desk.
Yeah.
So I'm not sitting down constantly.
Yep.
But it's like that has helped because I'm not around adults during, or neither of us. Like we don't go to an office and we're not around other like working adults during our day. So the fact that like me and you and Jamie can talk about this stuff, I think is really important. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit there and like, you know, become that.
Oh, totally.
Person.
Yeah. And you know, the last thing I'll say about this is like, I'm actually trying to put more, I've talked to a couple of people on our team about this recently, you being one of them. I mean, we just kind of organically had a conversation about health this weekend and stuff, but I was talking to our project manager, Anna, about this. And I was talking to my marketing manager, Neen, about this, and how they both kind of were saying the same things where it's very easy just for the day to go by and you just don't do anything. And I said to everybody, I'm like, we all need to prioritize our physical fitness. We all need to prioritize getting out in the sun, going for a walk every once in a while and stuff like that. Because I was listening to somebody talk about this one time. He's like, all of that stuff is good for your business too. You can really convince yourself that the only thing that is good for my business is sitting there and working relentlessly for 10 hours a day. But then you realize, like, if I'm not taking care of my health, if I'm not eating well, if I'm not exercising, if I'm not, you know, giving myself a break to clear my mind, then I'm not going to function as high of a level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like getting vitamin D by being out in the sun, like makes you healthier. And being healthier is going to make you more efficient with your time. Just working longer hours doesn't always equal the same amount of output as being healthy and more productive in a smaller amount of time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. We covered a lot on that one question.
Yeah.
That was good though. Do you feel like you've ever hit a wall in your business? And if so, how did you get through that?
A wall in the sense of like growth or something like that?
Yeah, I would say I think that's what I think of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's a tendency to feel like you need to do everything yourself, I would say. That usually is where I notice the wall happens, when I'm just like, Kevin just needs to do more, he just needs to work harder and stuff like that. But there are different things you can do to optimize your time, become more efficient, get more out of your day. But at the end of the day, you just can't do everything yourself. And so when I notice we're kind of stagnating, like, not that we were stagnating recently, we made a hire because we actually had like a big influx of clients. We're like, okay, we need to hire somebody to really help with this. But that is typically what I start looking at, is like when I am stagnating, when I'm not seeing the growth I want to see, it usually means I'm not freed up to do the high leverage activities in the business that actually need to get done in order to move it forward. You know what I mean? Like the high leverage activities for me is marketing and sales. And that's the same thing in every business. Dog trainers are the same exact way. It's like market your business, answer your phone, do consultations. If you do those three things, your business is going to grow. But it's going to bottleneck in the fulfillment where you're not going to necessarily have the amount of trainers. So then you're going to have to fix that problem. But you can get so in the weeds of just training dogs or just analyzing ad accounts or just managing the team and stuff like that, that you don't ever have time to actually focus on creating a piece of content to grow the business.
And I noticed that too, right before we made our most recent hire, Leanne. We were going back and forth on that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think even like for myself, I was like, oh, I don't think we need anyone. Like I can do it all. I'm fine.
Yep.
How do you navigate guilt when you're not working or when you take time off? Or are you the type of person that feels guilt whenever you take a step away?
Yeah, I could definitely relate to that a little bit. You know, I think for me, like as our company has grown, I feel like a responsibility to everybody. That's a thing that I kind of have to struggle with, is feeling like I can't take time off or something like that because other people are working and I need to be there for them. But I'd love to get your like insight on that too. Like, what do you think of it? Like being on the other side of it and like seeing me, I know you don't care if I were to take a day off, but like, what do you think about that?
I mean, I personally have a lot of guilt for taking time off of anything. But I also know like on the other side, like you have to in order to, I mean, it goes back to like the first question that we were touching on, like you have to in order to take care of yourself, in order to do your job properly. But I mean, like when you're gone, which you rarely are, I don't think twice about it. But I mean, on my end, like I said, I feel a lot of guilt, whether it's me taking time off of work or like stepping away for any reason, or even like as a mom taking time off. And that's something like I'm still personally trying to work through, but I just have to keep reminding myself like it's okay to do this, or it's okay to have a lazy day, or even like my household, it's okay to clean my house today or like put it off for a little bit because I need the extra rest. I deserve some time off because I need to be able to take care of myself. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, I mean, everything in life comes in seasons. And I noticed that with our client acquisition too. Like we always talk about this, how like it comes in waves. You know, when you're really busy, you're just like so in that mindset of like signing up new people, onboarding them, make sure the ad account is built and built properly and stuff like that. And then when it slows down, you can kind of get a little bit, that's when the guilt starts sinking in for me. It's like, I'm not as busy onboarding people right now. So that means I need to only focus my time to just drum up new business and stuff like that. It's hard to take your own medicine sometimes, because what I always tell all of our clients is business is very cyclical. Like there's times where it's going to be very busy and other times where it's going to be slower. And instead of getting so stressed out in the slower times, just use it as kind of an opportunity to like, this is a natural break. It's a natural time to kind of take some time off, you know? Now, if it's always slow, that's a different story. That's a marketing issue. But if you're busy and, you know, throughout the year and there's just like little times, don't let that make you feel guilty. Just as like, hey, this is God or the universe, whatever you want to call it, like giving me the opportunity to kind of slow down a little bit. You know?
Yeah, I like that. Great. We're going to get into a different section. All right. So, Kevin, from a marketing perspective, how can dog trainers grow without constantly grinding?
Raise your prices and have good marketing. You know, I think that it all starts with a lot of people don't know when the next phone call is going to come in. They're relying on word of mouth referrals. And so that causes a lot of anxiety is, hey, I got a couple clients, but at any minute, this could just kind of stop.
Yeah.
You know, or what, this was a good month, but what does next month look like? Or, you know, it just, my phone used to ring. I used to have good SEO, and now there's somebody else that's come into the market and I no longer get those phone calls, you know? So really getting that whole portion of it figured out first, good client acquisition. But at the end of the day, we've seen this where people come in and they think their biggest problem is I need more clients. And that's usually a big part of it, but you can fix that problem. And it's not like every problem in your business is fixed all of a sudden, because you can just find yourself really busy and not the good kind of busy.
Yeah.
You know, you're busy with a lot of clients, but you're like, now I'm just working a lot and I'm just feeling burned out because I'm feeling undervalued. I'm not getting paid enough. So to me, the main things that dog trainers struggle with is not having a clear way to get clients and then not charging enough for their services. Because most people out there, let's be honest, they're like solo dog trainers and their business is not going to scale off of volume. You're not going to do 100 clients in a month. That's like an insane amount of work. You would need a team of people to do something like that. And so what makes you different and unique is the one-on-one experience clients get with you. So you should be charging a premium for that.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that makes sense. This next question, I feel like, kind of goes into it too. What mindset shifts do your most successful clients make as they scale? And the thing that comes to mind for me on that is the mindset shift of realizing that you can't do everything on your own.
Yeah. Speak on that a little bit because I think that could be helpful for people.
Well, you can't, you physically can't grow and
Mhm.
do more unless you raise your prices.
Yeah.
And you just stay doing what you're doing and signing on the same amount of clients each
Yep.
month.
Yep.
But there was a client that I talked to recently, and I think I brought this up in our last episode,
Yep.
just because I feel like this was a really good conversation with this client. And
Yeah.
he told me, I want to figure out a way to free up my schedule more, but also bring in more money.
Yeah.
It's like-
work less, earn more.
Yeah. Yeah. Like taking on less dogs too.
Yeah.
And so my answer to him was, well, you need to, and he's doing really, really good with sales. So
Good.
that was another thing. Even had he not told me that, you are selling like almost everyone,
Yeah.
raise your prices now.
Exactly.
So raise your prices, hire another trainer, which he was already in the process of doing.
Mhm.
And these were all things that he had already thought about, like kind of came to that realization.
Yeah.
But us having that call and me basically just repeating that to him, then he was like, okay, that's what I needed. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that you need to be aggressive with your prices and put yourself out of your comfort zone because to your point, you can't do everything yourself and you just need to come to terms with that. Everybody has so much fear around raising prices. Like, what if people start saying no to me? It's like, okay, well, you can always go back.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the most amazing thing is like, just, it sucked. It didn't work. Like, okay, go back.
Yeah.
But if people start saying yes to your higher price points, it just changes everything. Your whole business changes overnight. You know, you can have a more profitable business, do better things for your clients, like invest in better, just invest in the business as a whole to give everybody a better experience. I know this wasn't directly about pricing, but what I always think about pricing is, without going too far back, I guess, we all have our standards, which is about like how much money we need to earn in life and how much, like, you know, we grew up like seeing our parents have and stuff like that. And you typically rise or fall to the standard of what you grew up with, you know, and because you really don't know any different. And that's something you really need to fight against. Like if you want to be able to charge high ticket programs, I've had clients say, the reason I feel like I can't sell that program or charge that much is because I just know my parents wouldn't pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, I think about my parents, and if somebody told them that need to get the dog training, it's gonna be $1,500. Like that would have like really broke their heart. What I always think about with that is that's a case study of like one. That's a case study of your family and your parents' situation or your situation. And so what it really comes down to is letting the market decide what the program is actually worth. You know, don't hamstring your business just because like you have an emotional gut reaction to a price.
Yeah. I feel like, and we have some clients that like we've had conversations with about this too, where they just like get too emotional about it. Granted, selling, training, and especially going to someone's home for an in-person consultation, it is a very emotional process. Like you want to bring that out of people, but you also can't be the one to get like too overly emotional about it to the point where it's like you start feeling bad about selling the program that their dog truly needs, or to the point where you're giving away too much for free because you're not going to make anything.
Totally. But, you know, I was going to say this as well. To answer the original question, like the main thing that I want people to understand about being a business owner is, let's use dog training as the example. You're no longer just a dog trainer. That is the most important thing. The people, and it all depends on what you're optimizing. If you're optimizing to have a really successful dog training business, then your main focus on a day-to-day basis should not be training dogs anymore. It just can't be. Like you can't be growing a business, but simultaneously training dogs for 8 to 10 hours a day. There's no time to do anything else.
It's like impossible.
It's impossible. You need to make the shift of being, I'm a dog trainer, to I'm the CEO and the owner of a dog training business. And think about like what you should actually spend your time doing. What are the high leverage activities you should be doing in your business every single day? I'll just tell you this, like the people that we work with that do 6 figures in a month, people that have done 120 grand in a month, what they focus their time on is really sales. You know, like that's all they're trying to do is pack their calendar with consultations and get better at selling, learn how to close people at a really high percentage, close 85% of their leads. And just, that's all they focus on is getting leads coming in, getting consultations scheduled, selling people, and then just feeding the clients and the dogs to their team of trainers. And they charge high ticket, so that way they can pay their trainers well and people want to stick around.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go. All right, so now we're going to get into this next segment, which I think is a bit more personal, more so of like our mindset. So, what do you feel like has been the biggest influential mindset shift that you've had?
Yeah, so I think that the number one thing that has been the most profound change that I've made in my life is growing up a little bit and not spending my time partying. I was like a lot of people, I think that when they're like in their teens or their 20s, and even people now in their 30s, where they spend their weekends either drinking or, smoking pot or
Hmm.
whatever it may be, and or just even spending your nights out at the bar, even if you're not getting hammered, but you're just like out late and stuff like that. I kind of cut that stuff out of my life in my early 20s, and that was when I noticed my life getting substantially easier, more manageable, and just better overall. I didn't have to worry about what did I do, or what did I say to somebody, or what drama am I involved in now. Just even the practicality of not feeling like crap waking up on a Sunday morning,
Hmm.
or on a weekday, having to go to work or something like that. I think that there's so many people that spend their time, and it's just so normalized. Not that I'm trying to be like a buzzkill or anything like that. Like, go and drink and have fun, do whatever you want to do if you feel like it's not affecting you. But if you're really honest with yourself and you feel like you're underachieving and you audit your time, and that's where some of your time is going, is
Hmm.
into drinking and partying, you have to think about that and realize that if I'm out drinking late on a Friday night, what does my Saturday look like?
Yeah.
Your Saturday is not going to be productive. It's just not. You can kid yourself. And, I even know people that swear up and down that they can smoke weed to start off the day and be productive. And then you talk to them and they're like, I'm like, you seem buzzed, you seem high,
Hmm.
And if I'm picking up on that, other people are going to pick up on that as well. So I think it's time and place. Like, that's what I would really say about this. I think that there's a time and a place to have fun and get rowdy and do stupid stuff and just party. But if you find yourself doing that, like on a weekly basis, like, okay, it's Friday, it's time for me to go out and party, you have to be honest with yourself. Like, is this something that, okay, if I want to grow a really successful business, is this something that a really successful CEO would be doing every weekend? And the answer is probably no.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
Well, and that like also just comes back to taking care of yourself
Yeah.
because like I, as you know, like don't drink anymore.
Mm.
I still every once in a while will have like a late wild night with
Yeah.
friends
Uh-huh.
that doesn't involve drinking
Yeah.
and I still have fun and then the next morning I might be a little bit tired, but I
Hmm.
don't feel like absolute shit.
Yeah,
I'm still
exactly.
hydrated
I
over the
pounded 10 glasses of water last night.
So like you said, like there's a time and there's a place and there's also a way to do it smart. And again, not that going out
Yeah.
and drinking and having fun is dumb by
Yeah.
any means. It's just a lifestyle that I choose to have now to not drink,
Yeah.
but I still have fun.
Exactly.
And I'll even say sometimes to my friends, like, I haven't been out in a while. I want to go out for like a wild drunken night, but they know I don't drink. And so when I
Yeah.
say a wild drunken night, that just means like I want to go out and like I want to dance and I want to have fun. I'm not going to drink an ounce of alcohol,
Yeah.
but it's just like that's kind of the vibe I want,
Yeah, totally.
you
And like
know?
eat like crappy food at like 2 a.m. and then go
Yeah.
home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this, it feels like if I take that out of my life, I'm no longer gonna have fun or something. And then you realize like you can do the same stuff and it doesn't feel the same at first. There's gonna be the temptation there, it's not gonna be as fun, but like once you unlock really being able to have fun without being shithoused, your life just gets like so much easier.
Yeah.
And I just know people too that are still doing that stuff, and I just know, like, because they've told me, like, they feel like they're like underachieving in life and stuff like that. Like, I've had clients that I've worked with who they've told me that they suffer from addiction, and they're taking painkillers or doing drugs, or they're alcoholics or something like that. And what I always think about is, for me, there was no amount of mindset work that I could do. There was no amount of like listening to, a Tony Robbins audiobook, or doing breath work or yoga in the morning, or just affirmations in the mirror, like any of those millions of things that you can do. that was going to offset me every single week going out and partying my ass off. You know, it's like, it's the 80-20 principle. It's like, if you take that stuff out, that's going to deliver you 80% of the results that you want. And then if you want to get to that 100%, all these other things are really good.
Yeah.
You know, but if you're just poisoning yourself, or you're just doing stuff that's altering your mood and changing who you are as a person, you lose your edge, you know, and like, that's the thing that makes you unique. So that's what I would say.
Okay. Awesome. All right. How
Well, we have to
has
talk about you, because I know you had something you wanted to talk about as well. You had your own version of this.
Okay. So, well, mine for me, one of them is sobriety, like
Mhm.
cutting that out of my life. The other thing is, I told you this is like a very cliche way of saying it, but
Mhm.
not sweating the small stuff. Because I used to be a very stressy person. I was a little,
This is so hard to believe, by the way, just for everyone listening. Like, this is so not your personality.
yeah, I am very chill and
Yeah.
level-headed now. But yeah, I used to be a very stressy person, did not have good stress management. And this was like 10 years ago. It's not necessarily like I'm still, this is really nice to say. It's not like
Mhm.
I'm still working through that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did not have good stress management. I was like a little firecracker, if you
Uh,
will, very easily triggered
mhm.
and snappy and stuff like that. And just like a little angry person. And I think really just having kids
Mm.
is what helped me like calm
Yeah.
down because, and again, like as cliche as it sounds, having kids changed me. I didn't want them
Mhm.
to grow up being like that and being like little angry people and getting like so triggered. And then I was also going through other things in my life that were affecting me and
Mhm.
affecting my mood and stuff like that. I think, I mean, aside from my kids too, I really came to the realization of like, I don't have to be in this mood all the time.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
a
have
choice.
to be, yeah, I don't have to be like angry about like every little thing or stressed about every
Mhm.
little thing. And people often, like even now, I'll still hear people say, well, I'm mad because you blah, blah, blah. Or, like always finding something to put the blame on for your mood,
Mhm.
which granted, like my mood will still be affected
Mhm.
by certain things, but it's a much different mindset of saying like, I am like allowing myself to be affected by this versus I am this way because you did this and this and this,
Yeah.
yeah, just realizing like it really is a choice. And that's kind of like when the shift
Yeah.
changed of just like, I want to be more unbothered by things. And now, like I said, it is my new norm now. So I often will have people say things to me like, you're just so casual
Mhm.
about things. Like I'll be talking about something that's just like absolutely insane and traumatic and like, or maybe I'm really angry about something and talking
Yeah.
about it. And I'm just like, very like level headed talking about it. So yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot more enjoyable to be
Yeah.
this way.
Well, I've always said that to you, that like something that I really admire about you is how like you don't get rattled by people,
Yeah.
you know? So it's just like very funny to hear now that you're like, that used to be the complete opposite for you, you know?
I used to get very rattled.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think another part of what you're talking about too, I think is it's a really, really important part of being a business owner is or getting rid of and actively pushing it away the whole victim mentality thing. Victimhood is the most just insidious thing that will destroy everything in your life. You know, okay, let me start with this. There are people who legitimately have been victimized out there and really horrible things have happened to them. And I'm not talking about that whatsoever and like discrediting that. But to what you were talking about before of like, this person said this or did this thing to me and now I'm going to have a shit day or
Mhm.
like the rest of my week or month is ruined because of it or something like that. It's like you are making a choice to let that person's actions and like what they said to you completely dictate how you go through life, you know? And here's the thing, it's like you're never going to be able to control what people say and do. That's just the whole point of life. It's like everyone has autonomy and free will, and by you getting upset, like this is something I realized in my life at one point was that I was getting so upset and it was because of the same reason over and over and over. It's like I'm not getting my way. You know, people are not falling in line. Like I'm the director of this movie and you need to do what I say. And it just life isn't like that, you know? So being able to let stuff roll off your back. I've had to stop clients from doing really insane things, going off on one of their clients because they're being difficult or something like that, or going scorched earth and trashing them on the internet and posting photos. And I'm like, this is not worth doing.
Yeah.
Stay out of the drama. Like that's another thing I would say too. Like people, we all need to stay out of the drama. You and I were talking about this last night, how if even if you're dealing with somebody who's really rude to you, you don't need to be rude back to them. Being rude back to them, all that is like your ego coming out and feeling like, don't they know who I am? Like no one's going to talk to me that way. When in reality, it's so much easier just to turn the other cheek and just be like, hey, you got your own stuff going on. I'm not going to stoop to this level with you. I'm just going to stay above this. And as soon as I'm done with this conversation, I can walk away from it. And I don't need to have this like heavy resentment and anger on my heart. Me going to that level with them and telling them, giving them a piece of my mind, what does that really do for me? You know, it just escalates it further. And honestly, it gives me this sense of control of like feeling like I did something productive by like telling them how I really feel, but it doesn't feel good afterwards, you know?
Yeah. I would say that's something I'm more mindful of too now is like thinking, consciously thinking in the heat of the moment
Hmm.
of like this person might be acting that way because of something they're going through or
Yeah.
because how their day is going. And I've even like been in those situations too where that other person has like stopped themselves and said like, a random stranger, maybe something happens like out in
Hmm.
public and then they stop themselves and they're like, I'm sorry, like I'm having a really bad day and whatever. And in some cases, you still got to say, like, I totally understand.
Hmm.
And I get you're having a bad day. It's just not okay to like talk to
Yeah.
people that way. But you can say it exactly like that. You don't
Yeah.
have to say, like, I get you're having a bad day, but screw you for
Yeah.
acting that way towards me.
Yeah.
But something else that we were talking about last night too is the mindset of I am the way I am because I went through this and because I grew up this way and
Right.
because
Yeah.
I was around all this shit, like that's just who I am
Hmm.
versus same thing. Like I went through all this shit. I grew up this way. I was around this. And so that's why I am the way I am today. It's like
Yeah.
literally same exact statement, but just a different mindset. Like I am
Exactly.
the way I am because I am choosing to take a different path or break the generational curses,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's a lot of like what I think about like on a constant basis
Hmm.
is like I went through these things and so I'm going to be this way because I don't want it to define my whole life. And granted, like
Yeah.
I feel like everyone has gone through something where they have been victimized in some way, like myself personally, and like stuff that I've shared with you.
Hmm.
And even that stuff, like terrible things that I've gone through,
Hmm.
I will still use it as a way to like make myself and my mindset and myself emotionally and mentally stronger. Like, yeah, it happened, but I'm not going to like keep bringing it up and say, well, I went through this shit. And so that's why I'm acting this way.
Yeah.
Like, it happened and, shit in life happens and
Yeah.
just what doesn't kill you makes you stronger kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like, I don't like saying that, but
No, it's true.
nothing has killed me yet. So,
Well, I heard Tony Robbins talk about this one time, and he was talking about how people love to blame their parents. And if you've ever listened to anything or when he talks about his mom, like he grew up in an extremely abusive single parent household where his mom was just ruthless with them, right? And there were always dads coming and going, new men and stuff like that were like abusive towards him and stuff like that. And what he said is later on in my life, I realized that I was holding so much against her and I was blaming her for all the bad stuff in my life. And one of the biggest shifts that I made was starting to blame her for some of the good stuff in my life too. And, that is a really hard thing to like look at. But because I've had some stuff happen to me in my life and I've gone through trials and tribulations. Everyone has their own story, everyone has their own version of that. And what I've kind of landed on as of late is that the stuff that I thought was like a curse for so long and that was so negative in my life led me to who I am today. And I really think a lot of the stuff that happened led me to being more kind and patient and compassionate and understanding with people. Had I not had that stuff, like if I just had everything on a silver platter to me and everything was easy, I just think that it wouldn't give you as much of a understanding about life. And when you talk to other people and they have hard stuff going on, you wouldn't be able to relate and empathize with them. You'd almost scratch your head and be like, what is this person talking about?
yeah.
Just like, it's not that hard, just get your act together, but I think that that's the type of thing that like really kind of makes us special, or at least I like to think so as a company, is us, me, you, Leanne, Jamie, everybody on our team who is in client success is able to kind of relate to people on different levels with different unique experiences. And I don't know, I just really like that.
And there's one more thing I want to say on that too. Like, there's a saying, I think it's like, thinking of things that have happened to you, like these things have happened for me,
Hmm.
not to me.
Yeah.
And I think it takes a lot to like really come to that realization, but think of like the deep meaning of that.
Hmm.
Because there's some things that, I've gone through and I'll think of those things and it's like, well, those didn't happen
Hmm.
for me. Like, I did not want those things to happen. But then if you think of it from the perspective of like, if this huge thing didn't happen to me or for me, like, I would not be who I am today. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have like the kind of mindset that I have today, or the type of like understanding and empathy for other people who have gone through that specific thing. So I think that's a good way to think about it, is like, it happened for me. It's like help me
It shaped you into the person that you need to be.
in a really weird way, because a lot of the time there are things that you're like, I wish I could erase this from my life. So you really have to look at it at a very deep and
Yeah.
sometimes like spiritual level, which I think was a huge thing for me.
Yeah, and talking about spirituality, not that I'm sure not everybody who's listening to this is like Christian or even believes in God or whatever, but Saint Paul talks about the thorn in his side in one of the letters that he wrote, and what he was talking about was like the inability to stop doing a certain thing. And so that could have been anything. It could have been womanizing, it could have been him being a drunk, it could have been him being resentful or jealous of people, or him being like slothful. It could have, we don't know what it was, but that always stuck with me, that even somebody who's like, venerated in churches as being this like extremely profound person and holy and stuff like that, that he had something that he just couldn't shake his entire life, and what people say about it is like, maybe that's something that's given to you to kind of give you like a deeper understanding, to be able to relate to people more, or keep you like somewhat humble or something like that,
Yeah.
because you can start developing this like holier than thou way of thinking, of just like, why are you acting like this? Stop doing this, and just get your shit together. Stop acting like a kid, and it's just not that easy. And going back to what you were saying before, maybe someone's having a bad day, or maybe they're just a byproduct of what they were raised in, like
Yeah.
maybe someone's a really difficult person because they were just raised in a really difficult household. And I'm not saying that excuses the behavior, because what I really do believe is that it's not your fault that things happen to you, but it is your responsibility to fix them.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, I'm a drunk because my parents were drunks, or I'm angry because my dad was angry. It's like, no, you need to stop doing that, because when you were a little kid, you would have given anything to not have your parents acting in a certain way. And now you're an adult and you're doing the same stuff. And it's like, it's kind of like, shame on you. Like, you need to take accountability for yourself and do something different. The term you used before was generational curse. Like, we all have these. Think about the generational curse and what you would have changed about your life, and make sure you don't do that stuff to your family or to the people around you.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. This is getting very
That's
deep
some
here.
powerful shit.
All right. So what's next here?
All right. How do you handle late night messages or weekend client demands when you're in family mode? So, in other words, like, what boundaries do you have in place that protect your peace?
So what I would say is, it really depends on what the message is. If someone's having an absolute emergency, I'm going to try and get to it as quick as I can. Like, if someone has, like, if all of a sudden we notice that something is really off with somebody's advertising spend, and like it was going to cost them money, that is so like not common and such an extreme version, because we have so many checks and balances in place to make sure that doesn't happen. But if something does feel off like that, I'm going to jump to it, because I don't want to run the risk that somebody spends a lot, like we waste money or something like that. Or if somebody is like waiting outside a client's house and they need a phone number or something like that. Like, I just think about like, how would I want to be treated in this moment of like, sorry, dude, I'm with my family right now, can't help you. Like, they just drove 45 minutes to do a consultation. Like, I'm going to walk upstairs, get the information, help the client sort it out or something like that. But yeah, like something like just a general business question or inquiry, it's like, that can wait,
Yeah.
And we're very blessed with the clients that we have, and people are very understanding. I think that's like, when you're working with business owners, as a business owner, you should know that nobody wants to have the client that is calling you at 10 o'clock at night to ask you some stupid question,
Yeah.
So don't do that to somebody else that you're working with, But how about you? Because I know that this is the type of thing where you could be getting messages on the weekend from people and stuff like that. So how do you handle it?
Pretty much the same. If I feel like it's an urgent matter,
Mhm.
or it's something that like we need to put the fire out
Yeah.
before Monday comes, then
Mhm.
I'll jump on it. Or like personally, I think you do this too, is
Mhm.
like if you're getting a bunch of messages in, you might start just helping people out. So that way come Monday, you're not like slammed with a
Yeah.
million messages. But
Mhm.
I think that's something that really sets us apart as a
Mhm.
company is like business hours are Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, but we care about our clients. And so if there is something that like they truly need,
Yeah,
we're going to do it for them.
for
It's
sure.
not like a hard stop. Sorry, I'll get back to you at 9 a.m. on Monday.
Yeah. I also think that there's an aspect of people can have a panic moment and they like call you, right? And
Hmm.
you can take that as the hell, why is this person calling me at 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
But you could send them a message like, hey, what's up? And then they're like, I have this going on. Hey, no worries. I see that. And we'll get it taken care of first thing in the morning,
Yeah.
And people are like, okay, I kind of realize like maybe I shouldn't have called at 11 o'clock at night or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't get like resentful, I guess, of like somebody reaching out because I know it. And I know what that feels like. And I've been there and I've done that with different companies I've worked with in the past. But going back to what we were talking about before, being really upset about something like that, that's a choice. And
Hmm.
being like, how dare this person call me? It's like, no, they're calling because they're panicked,
Yeah.
and I can understand that, but you have to make the decision of do I have boundaries in place or not?
Yeah. And another thing too is like a lot of the time, people, if it's not an emergency, they're just sending a message
Hmm.
because it's the weekend or maybe it's late at night. And
Yeah.
that's when like the questions
Yes.
start coming to mind. Like you're
Hmm.
busy all day. So I get it. And sometimes even I'll have clients like apologize for messaging me during the
Yeah.
weekend.
I
And
even feel bad calling you on the weekend.
I mean, I don't mind.
Yeah, I know, but still.
But like sometimes like people will think of that too,
Hmm.
and it's like it's fine, like I might still wait to get back to it if it's not an emergency, but I totally get it. Even like for our company, sometimes I'll be like in bed, it's like midnight, and I'll think of an idea,
Yeah.
and like that's just when the creative juices get
Yes,
flowing.
exactly. Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's see. What are you most proud of that has nothing to do with money or growth?
I'm gonna try not to cry as I say this. No, I would say the people on our team. I would. Like I love everybody that we work with. And obviously like you and I have a very good friendship now. And I didn't think like years ago starting this that like my client success manager would be coming to stay at my house and playing with my kids. Like I find that very sweet. And yeah, I just think it's an amazing thing to be able to build something that not only supports me and my family, but other people's families too.
Hmm.
And yeah, without getting too sentimental, like, the thing is when I was a little kid, I was a horrible student. Like I was such a bad student. And I have learning disabilities. I'm dyslexic. I couldn't pay attention. And I remember even from being a little kid, like having these like really intense fears of like being a failure in life. I even remember this is so like I don't even know if I've even shared this with anybody. Now I'm putting it on camera. Like I remember like vividly being a little kid and crying to my dad, being like, I feel like I'm going to end up as a homeless man. Like I don't know. That was my first real fear I can remember having, thinking like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to. I'm so unsuccessful in school, and that was the only barometer that I had to really kind of like measure my success in life, is like
Hmm.
how well I tested and did I turn my homework in and stuff like that. And so yeah, I just remember being a little kid and thinking like I'm not going to be okay in life. And fast forward to today, and not to pat myself on the back or anything like that, but I don't have a multi-billion-dollar company or something like that. But to now have 10 people working with me and stuff like that is
Hmm.
just so far removed from what I thought my life was going to be like when I was a little kid. I guess that's something I'm very proud about, is like the relationships I've made, the people I've met, the people that we've helped and stuff like that. Money is cool, but you start realizing that like as you make more money in life, it really doesn't change that much for you. What I mean by that is there's a certain threshold that like your needs are met, and okay, you put some money in the bank, but it's not like that's the type of thing like, okay, now I'm putting more money in the bank and I'm even happier. It really doesn't impact it that much. And I know that may sound like a privileged thing to say or something like that, but God willing, everyone will experience that. And it's just very easy to kind of put your focus on, if I make more money, I'll be happier, I'll feel more secured. And it just does not work.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah. I feel like my answer to that question would be very similar, but on the other side.
What do you mean by that?
So I also wasn't a very good student.
Yeah.
I definitely like measured my, I guess, success based on like my grades and how well I did in
Yeah.
school. I mean, I would say I was a good student in the sense that like I was in all way, well, I lied. I skipped school quite a bit.
Did you? Okay. Now the truth's coming out.
But I was like a respectful student.
Uh-huh.
You know, I wasn't like disrespectful to my teachers and
Yeah.
stuff like that, if that counts for anything.
Wait, hold on. I don't know how you were able to skip school though, because my school experience was so different. I went to my high school was an all guys Catholic high school. So if you skipped school, there were going to be like real consequences.
Because I was such a good kid and good student, if I skipped, my teachers didn't really bat an eye about it. And they could see, like, in their system, okay, she was in her first period, in her second period, in her third, fourth, fifth, sixth, but she's absent in
Mhm.
this one. Like, they can see it and they know that something's off,
Yeah.
but like, no one really ever said anything.
Yeah.
And so I just got away with it, I
Yeah.
guess. But yeah, same thing for me as far as like how I did in school.
Mhm.
And honestly, just like based on my grades and how hard I tried, but my grades didn't reflect that, I felt like an idiot. And I think that also plays a huge part into why I made the decision to homeschool my kids, is because like I don't want them to feel that way too. I don't
Yeah.
want them to feel like their success is measured by like you are not at the same exact level as everyone else
Mhm.
your age
Yeah.
kind of thing. But yeah, I really didn't see myself being here,
Hmm.
honestly. So I'm really proud of that. And it just took a lot of hard work and pushing myself to where like I visualized my life being. I would also say my resilience in
Hmm.
life. That's it. Because I don't want to cry.
Okay. We won't cry this
My
podcast.
resilience, yeah.
Good. All right. What else do you have on here for us?
I think that pretty much covers it all. I feel
Cool.
like you and I could sit here for like 4 more
Yeah,
hours
me
just
too.
going into everything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will wrap this up with then is the main things that I would say that I kind of took away from this is number one, you again, like I said before, it's not your fault that things have happened to you in life, but it's your responsibility to correct them.
Yeah.
Don't be a victim. I know that sounds like very harsh, but the truth is it's a choice. And to just blame your mom, your dad for everything in your life, or your old boss, or your teachers, or that cop that was an asshole that really threw the book at you. And there's so many different instances in our lives where you can just be like, that's where I got screwed. That's the exact thing. This is why I am and the way I am, and this is why my life is this way. Even something as simple as like, I'm just not an outgoing person, I'm not good at sales, I'm just not outgoing, right? Or I'm just not an organized person. Or it's like, really think about what that means. It's like you've just kind of accepted this identity for yourself and you're just kind of throwing your hands up in the air and saying, there's nothing I can do to change it. When in reality, there's lots of things that you can change. I mean, what I always think about is you can literally grow your muscles and in some cases your skeletal structure. Like, do you really think that by working out, if you work out your mind and exercise your mind and stuff like that, like you can change that stuff too. So you're not just stuck being the person that you are today. The quote that I always think about is, be the hero of your own story. It's so easy to watch Luke Skywalker in Star Wars and be like, that's so cool. And, I would love, as corny as that sounds, like I would love that to be me, or Rocky, right? Like getting off the canvas time and time again and be like, that's so badass. But we all have our own version of this. And maybe your version of like being Rocky is not accepting that your business is failing and you're going to have to pack it in. It's doing something and staying in the fight to be able to build something better for you and your family and generations to come after you.
Yeah. And like there's a reason why we focus so much on like mindset stuff in this podcast, is because like when it comes like going back to business stuff, there's so much or so many things like deep in life and like your life experiences and your past and all that kind of stuff that obviously shift your mindset, but is also going to shift the mindset that you have when it comes to business. People don't really think about that. Like simple things, answering the phone, how this one consultation went or how your program should be structured or whatever. Like, don't blame your mom for how your programs are structured. I'm not saying that, but like it's such like a ripple effect, I think. Yeah. And so do some deep thinking about like you as a person and your past and how you handle day-to-day situations, and see like how that affects your mindset with your business and how you handle things.
Yeah, really well said. All right, well, we'll wrap it up here for the day. So I hope you guys like this one. This is very fun for us because Angel lives down in North Carolina and I'm up in New Jersey. So we only get to do this like once every couple months. But we're working on some cool stuff behind the scenes to kind of give even just like our podcast like more of a feel like this, some new software we're going to be testing and stuff like that. So we appreciate you guys listening as always. We hope you got some good value from this. And if there's ever anything that you guys would like for us to talk about and do a video specifically on, make sure just to send us a message or put it in the comment section or something like that. And we will definitely create some content around that for you. So appreciate you guys listening. Make sure to like this, send this to a friend, another dog trainer, if you think they would get some value out of it. And we will see you guys very soon in the next one. See you guys.
See ya.